So welcome guys, in this video I am going to discuss physical interpretation of the wave function and also normalization and boundary condition on the wave function. So before going to watch this video, I request you people go to visit the description. There is a link of a video which show you a simple derivation or simple or intuitive derivation of the Schrodinger equation. So in that video, while we are deriving the Schrodinger equation, we assume that a mathematical function which is represented by the symbol psi, which is changing with respect to space and time to create the matter wave, and considering that we derive our Schrodinger equation, and during that time we stated that we don't know what this function physically represent. Like in case of electromagnetic wave, this wave function physically represent the changing electric field and magnetic field, and in case of a sound wave, it is represent a changing pressure with respect to space and time. So there, in case of that, in simple term, wave function in case of sound wave are pressure, and in case of electromagnetic wave, it is electric and magnetic field. But in case of a de Broglie wave, we don't know what is changing with respect to space and time to create the matter. So now in this video we are going to see the physical interpretation of the wave function of the matter. So before going to that, let us start with intensity of a monochromatic light. So we know the light is an electromagnetic wave in which electric field and magnetic field oscillate perpendicular to each other, as well as they are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So our electromagnetic theory suggests the intensity of light is proportional to modulus of electric field square. We know intensity is nothing but the amount of energy crossing per unit time per unit area, or amount of energy falling on a unit area in unit time. This is defined as an intensity in general or simple term. So electromagnetic theory suggesting that intensity is proportional to electric field square. Also, now if we assume that light as a photon, or light as a photon collection of photon particle, or if we assume, or if we consider the photon theory, then the definition of intensity in that case will be, the intensity may also be interpreted as the number of photon crossing per unit time at the point under the consideration normal to the direction of motion of the photon. Hence we can write our intensity is proportional to number of photon crossing per unit time at the point in which we are measuring the intensity. So we can write that, hence we can say that n proportional to electric field square, where n is the number of photon crossing per unit time at the point at which we are measuring intensity. So we can write mathematically our intensity is proportional to the number of photon, as well as it is proportional to electric field square, where electric field is the wave function for electromagnetic wave. Here we are assuming electric field only because most of the optical phenomena is happening because of the electric field, and also intensity is given by the electric field square, not magnetic field square. Now let us consider a single slit diffraction experiment. So here it is a photon source, or it is a monochromatic light source. Light from it fall on a slit of width A. Now in the screen we can show the diffraction pattern. In the middle it is diffraction maxima, then this is minima, and there is also some other maximas. Intensity reduces there, accordingly they are called secondary maxima. And this graph is representing the intensity profile So intensity is given by I is equal to I0 sine square alpha by alpha square, where alpha is pi a sine theta by lambda, where pi is the where a is the width of the slit and lambda is the wavelength of light. Now consider, we know that we can very easily explain this experiment from the wave theory, and we also calculate the intensity here. The intensity is also here, it will be electric field square, no problem. Now let us interpret this experiment from the basis of photon theory. So on the basis of statistical interpretation, while we consider our photon theory, the probability of photon in the beam, this beam consists of large number of photons in the beam, is very great when wave theory predict a intensity maximum. So this beam is consists of large number of photon. This photon come and strike the screen. So we can say that probability of a photon, a single probability of a photon striking a screen is very great when wave theory predict an intensity maxima. So if we consider this photon, there will be greater chance that this photon will travel and strike in the central maxima instead of those other secondary maximas, because their intensity reduces, and there will be very less probability of striking in this dark region. So now in case of a photon theory, our the idea of intensity becomes statistical. So we have to use probability to define intensity here. Now consider if the beam consists of a single photon. There is a single photon coming at a time and passing through the slit and striking the screen. At that case, we can only say that there is a greater probability of photon striking a screen at places where the wave theory predicts large intensity than is striking at a place where the predicted intensity is small. So if only single photon is coming from the source, so there is a greater probability that this photon go and strike here in the central maxima, because wave theory predicted here the intensity is maximum, then the other secondary maximas. And also again I am repeating, there is a very less probability that the photon will going to strike the minima region. In case of diffraction, the minima are not absolute dark, like in case of Young double slit experiment, the minima are dark, there was no light, and there is equally bright fringes and equally dark fringes. But in case of diffraction, in case of minima, the intensity is very less. That's why in behind this bright background, they appear as a dark. So a single photon can strike this minima region, but the probability will be very, very less. So from here we get one idea that our intensity become probabilistic. We also know intensity is proportional to the electric field square, which is a wave function of the electromagnetic field. Now if we do the similar kind of argument with de Broglie wavelength, then we may interpret the square of the modulus of the wave function, which may be complex, associated with the particle at a given point in space at a given time as a measure of probability density. That means probability per unit volume of a particle being at that point at that time. So our psi star psi, which is nothing but the square modulus of wave function, is proportional to the probability density of finding the particle. This is the probability density, the probability per unit volume. So we have to remember it. So this is the physical interpretation of the wave function. So for a one-dimensional, when the particle is moving in 1D, it will be like the probability of finding the particle within x and x plus dx, like that. So there we have to consider, instead of here probability per unit length become important. In 3D, probability per unit volume, that's how we define here probability density. Now let us check a problem that show that psi star psi is necessarily real, either positive or 0. So we assume psi is as a plus ib and psi star will be obviously a minus ib, where a and b are real numbers. Now psi star psi will be a square plus b square, which is real as well as positive. Now if a and b are equal to 0, then psi star psi will be 0. This thing is obvious because psi star psi is proportional to probability density. So probability can only be either positive or 0, there will be no negative, and probability can never be complex. So that's why this math is representing this simple thing. Now came to normalization of wave function. So this is representing a Schrodinger time dependent wave equation. Now if we put k psi instead of psi in the Schrodinger equation, the equation will remain unchanged. So k psi will be a solution. We know that psi star psi is proportional to probability density. It is not equal to probability density. So our psi that psi is arbitrary by a multiplicative constant. So if we multiply psi by a constant k, you will get a new value of probability density. So that will become a problem. So to remove this arbitrariness, an additional condition is required which will specify our wave function uniquely. So this condition is known as normalization condition, which assume that, so normalization condition assume that psi star psi equal to probability density of the particle, probability equal to probability density of finding a particle, and we know that total probability should be unity. Then in mathematical form, the normalization condition is given by psi star psi dv. So it is doing integral over the volume throughout the space, or it's considered all the space. That's why we are taking integration constant from minus infinity to plus infinity. It should be equal to 1. So normalization condition actually remove the arbitrariness in the wave function, because our physical significance initially suggests that psi star psi is proportional to probability density. Now through normalization condition, we are assuming that psi star psi will equal to the probability density of finding the particle, and the normalization condition is the total probability should be 1, and it is mathematically represented by this equation. Now let's check two problems. First problem is an object in one dimensional is described by the wave function psi is equal to x root 3 in between 0 to 1. Then wave function is valid in between 0 to 1, and wave function is 0 elsewhere. Now what is the probability of finding the object within the interval 0 to half? Now we know probability is given by say the psi star psi dx. Now we have to take the limit, because psi star psi is probability density and we are multiplying with by the dimension. Here psi is, since psi is representing a body in one dimensional, so psi star psi will give a probability density per unit length. So now we are multiplying it by a distance, so that will give us probability. So now we are checking, calculating all the probabilities, total probabilities in between 0 to half. So here psi is not complex, it is real. So psi star will be also x root 3. Now integral is trivial. So probability of finding the particle in between 0 to half is 1/8. So simple math here. Now check another math where a wave function is given psi is equal to a sine pi x by small a. So it is in the question it is required to normalize the wave function in between 0 to a. So we know the normalization condition is the total probability within the given condition have to be 1. So integration of 0 to a psi star psi dx have to be 1. Now psi is given a sine a capital A into sine n pi x by a. Now psi star will be, now sine part is a real, nothing will change. So we initially assuming that our constant a may be a complex number, so that's why we are putting star on it. So now we know a star a will be a square. Now if we put the value of psi and psi star in the integral, it's become like that. Now the value of the integration will be a by 2. So capital A is coming out root over 2 by a. Now this is represent our normalized wave function. Now we will see boundary condition of wave function. Now since our psi star psi or modulus of psi square represent the probability density, now it is equal to probability density of finding the particle, psi must satisfy these two following conditions. Condition number 1 is psi must be single valued and finite at every point in space, because if psi is not single valued, so that means at a particular point if psi has several values, so this wave function has several values, that means at that point we will get different probability of finding the particle, so that will create problem. Also the value of the psi have to be finite. A infinite psi will lead to a different thing. And also second condition is the wave function and derivative of wave function, first derivative of wave function must be continuous at every point in space. If a wave function satisfy these two conditions are called well-behaved wave function. Now let us check a problem. That is the last problem. So here 4 wave function is given and we want to find which are well-behaved and which of them are not. So let us start with first one, where psi is e to the power minus x. So at x is equal to plus infinity, at x approaches to infinity, psi approaches to 0, and when x approaches to minus infinity, psi approaches to infinity. Now we know that wave function have to a finite value, so here value become infinite, so we can say that this wave function is not a well-being wave function. Second wave function was sin x and cos x. So we know for all values of x, the sin and cos x lies in between 0 and 1. All the values of cos x and sin x lies in between 0 to 1. So that means we can say sin x and cos x are well-behaved, and we know sin x and cos x are continuous function. Their derivatives are also continuous. Now came to the next wave function, the psi is equal to e to the power minus x square. Now let's again check it. At x tends to plus infinity, psi tends to 0. As x tends to minus infinity, psi tends to 0. So psi is equal to e to the power minus x square is a well-behaved wave function. So you can also check the derivative. Here derivative will be also a continuous, and derivative as well as the wave function is also a continuous function. Now this is the last wave function, that psi is equal to a plus minus ax. So as, let's check it, as a tends to plus infinity, psi tends to plus infinity, as well as x tends to minus infinity, again psi tends to plus infinity. So the value of psi is not finite here, because first criteria is every point in space it have to be finite. So now value become infinite. So we can say that this wave function is also not a well-behaved wave function. So this is going to be end of this lecture. In the next lecture we are going to see probability current density. We will have lecture on probability current density and conservation of probability current density, and we will also see some problem on the probability current density. So thanks for watching. If you like it, please subscribe the channel, like it, and also